Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year for those of us that we haven't seen each other. So welcome to the SPOR and XEVMPD status update. This is the first one of this year. Let's start with some housekeeping notes. So as you know, this session is going to be recorded and it will be available in our corporate website and also in the EMA YouTube web channel. You will be using Slido as the tool that we use to ask questions, to upvote the questions that you want to be answered. If the interaction with Slido is, as always, voluntary, and you may opt to be remain anonymous. But if you choose to use Slido, then you are giving us your consent to process your personal data as it is stated in the data protection notice for Slido that is available in the link in the presentation. Something important, we are expecting more than 1,000 participants to this webinar, and you know that WebEx, sometimes the capacity of WebEx is 1,000 participants, so you are more than welcome to join the live broadcast that is available in the event web page. So instead of using WebEx, you can go to the event web page and the broadcast is going to be there. You can still use Slido, provide your comments and your questions, but we recommend you to go to the event web page to see the broadcast there instead of using WebEx if possible. As always, we have the Slido QR code. You can scan this. You will be directed to the app where you can use to provide your questions, or you can also use the hashtag STUP280126. Then you can send or upvote your questions that you want to be answered. We will show these questions on the screen, and we will be replying to the top vote these questions within the Q&A sessions that we have after each topic. Something very important, we have labels, so please use those labels when you ask a question. So if you are going to ask a question for OMS, please use the OMS label. If you are going to ask a question for RMS, use the label, because that will help us trigger those questions and present them during each of the sessions. Okay, so it's very important if you can please use the labels whenever you ask a question in Slido. Additionally, the presentations will be made available in the SPOR portal document section, and is also available in the EMA event web page. And the recordings, as we said, they will be made available in the EMA YouTube channel and also in the event web page. The aim of this webinar is to share the status update on SMS, OMS, RMS, PMS, and also on XEVMPD. And we will focus on recent and also planned changes that we have done, and also which is the impact of those changes and the planned changes to the users. A bit of the agenda. So we will start with OMS and some questions in the Q&A session, then OMS, RMS. We will have a coffee break for 10 minutes. You can use this time to reply to the customer survey. Then we will continue with XEVMPD and PMS. And to finish the webinar, we will have a featured topic for XEVMPD and SPOR. And we will finish with the conclusions of the webinar. So without any delay and just on time, we can start with SMS status update. So over to you, Pedro.
Okay. Thank you, Marcos, and good morning, everyone. So I'll be briefly presenting the planned SMS activities from the work done in the previous quarter and the work that we are planning to do for the next quarters. So in terms of data management, nothing has really changed. So we will continue to do the data enrichment exercises that we have been doing for several years already. So the INNs, the USANs, the UNI, and the Pharmacopoeia enrichments. We will continue to update the custom attributes on active substance and excipients. So this is an activity that we have started last year, and we will continue to maintain it. And also the custom attribute related to the critical medicines. Now, in terms of data quality, in the previous quarter, we have completed the specified substances group 1 solutions recleansing, and I'll be talking about that in the next slide in more detail. And for this quarter, we will do the data cleansing of animals, so animal parts and animal whole records. Then later in the year, we will have data management team handover. So this is related to our contracts that every 6 years we need to go through this process, and the time has come now. And in quarter 3, we are hoping to address one of the big outstanding activities in SMS, which is changing preferred terms to the correct name as defined by the substance validation group. In terms of documentation, we have recently published a new version of the guidance, 3.2, and we are already working on the next version, 3.3. In terms of awareness and visibility, so we will continue with monthly clinics that we have started last year to address questions on S, O, and R. And we will continue to have these SPOR webinar updates every quarter. In terms of modernization initiatives, the big activity that has started last year and it's still ongoing is the Informatica MDM upgrade that we are hoping that it will also be finalized soon. Next slide, please. So, in terms of the work that we have completed last quarter, so the major activity was the specified substance group 1 solutions. This was an activity that was considered completed in 2024. So at that time, this group of substances were cleansed by the substance validation group. And the general rule applied at that time was only solutions that have a monograph in the European Pharmacopoeia were considered valid records and would get SVG flag 1. This caused some issues from some NCAs, some industries, that only these solutions were not enough to cover all the products, all the product registration. So during 2025, there were several meetings on this topic, so this was a very complex topic to be addressed. But in the end, in quarter 4, we finalized these discussions with the SVG, and now there are 3 scenarios for these solutions to be considered valid. So if they are related to a monograph from the European Pharmacopoeia, so this part has been unchanged. But also, if they are related to any other national pharmacopoeia in the EEA. And in addition, there's some more exceptions on a case-by-case basis that have been identified also as valid solutions. The list of all these valid solutions is now available in the SMS guidance for external users. And as a consequence of this revision of the rules, so we created a few new records in SMS. Some solutions that in 2024 had an SVG flag 0, they have now been changed to SVG flag 1, and some of the replacements had also have to be adjusted. The main benefit for the users is that it is now considered that all the solutions needed are now available, they are cleansed, and they are also listed in the guidance. So you can go to the guidance and you can see exactly which of these solutions you should use, which records you should use in which circumstances. And Now going to the second activity, which is a consequence of the first one. So we published a new version of the guidance, 3.2. So there were some minor changes across the document, but the main change was the inclusion of these rules about solutions. Next slide. So what we are planning to do this quarter. So we are planning to address the animal records, and the reason why this group is being prioritized, it's because it's considered a quick win. It's easy to cleanse and it's going to be easy to outsource. So the pre-cleansing within SMS had already been completed. We are hoping to start the discussions with the SVG on this topic within a few weeks. And since these rules are considered very straightforward and the number of records is not very high, we are hoping to finalize it still this quarter. Just a remark here, allergen extracts coming from animals are not included in this substance group, so they will not be part of this cleansing exercise, but in a future one. Then in terms of the guidance, so we will publish one more version this quarter, so at least with the business rules for animals, but there's a few more changes that might be included with a few other substance groups that have been outstanding as well. So, as a summary, we have completed this very complex topic on the specified substance group 1 solutions. So all the records have been recleansed, and we have included these rules in the SMS guidance version 3.2 that was published last week. We are currently working on the cleansing of animals, and we will include those business rules in the next version of the guidance, 3.3, still this quarter. And we are still working in the Informatica upgrade that we are also hoping to finalize soon. After this, we would have the data management team handover and the changes in the substance preferred terms to be aligned with the name as defined by the substance validation group. In terms of activities that are currently on hold, these are the homeopathics. So we got some delays in the plan. We were hoping to start it last year, but that was not possible. So this task is now on hold, as well with the human vaccines and nullification of the substances with SVG flag 0. So once we have more updates on the timelines of these activities, then we will communicate in the next SPOR webinar.
Okay, thank you, Pedro, for the update. We are going to move now to the questions for SMS. So please, if you have any question for SMS, it's your time now to go to Slido. Again, you have here the QR code, and you also have the hashtag in case you want to join directly from the Explorer. And you can ask any question you have for Pedro and the SMS team. I'm gonna switch now to present here. So sorry, 1 second. Okay. So, Pedro, we have a question for SMS. When will the herbal preparations be cleansed?
Yeah, that's a good question. So last year we finalized the cleansing of the herbal records, so the whole plants and the plant parts. So those were the parent records of herbal extracts and also homeopathic substances. And we started with the herbal records because, well, first, they are the parent records of the extracts and the homeopathics, and also they are quicker to and easier to cleanse because we don't need to look at products. So a plant is a plant, so we don't need to see which products are linked to understand the plant. Now, the challenge with herbal preparations and extracts and tinctures is they are product specific. So when we start this exercise, we will have to go almost product by product to understand the drug extract ratio, the solvents, some defining constituents of that extract. So it's a much more complex exercise. So it will take much longer time to address, and it will not be done this year for sure, and it would have to be prioritized for next year or the following ones. So there's no planned timeline for this group of substances yet.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. Now that some substances have switched from SBG0 to SBG1, we will receive a third acknowledgement to change the substance again after we already changed them because, the SBG flag was changed to SBG0. So,
yes, so as I've mentioned, some substances did have a change in the flag, and this is a small number of substance records that will unfortunately impact some product records as well. So we recognize that this is not a good situation, but this was a very complex topic, and it was discussed several times within the SVG, and it was considered that this change was really required. We did not have enough solutions to properly register all the products. So this decision was taken, and yes, some products, if they had already been corrected, they will unfortunately have to be corrected again.
okay, thank you, Pedro, for the explanation. The next question we have for SMS is, when will the next SMS list is going to be updated?
Not sure if I understand this question. So the SMS list is updated every day, many times a day. So every day there's new substances created, substances that already exist are updated. And you can see the changes in the substance export available in the SPOR portal. This export is refreshed on a daily basis. So every day you can see all the changes and the most up-to-date list based on the changes done in the day before.
Thank you. Well, if you meant something different, please let us know. You can open another question here in Slido and we can make it clear. The next one. Are there any plans to include in SMS terms from the national pharmacopoeias, like national translations of the substances' names?
So SMS already has translations. So since even before SMS, so when substances were managed in XEVMPD, many substance names in almost all EU languages were added, and now in SMS this continues, but this is done upon request, usually for the industry. So if you would like a translation to be registered in a given language, and this translation would have to be provided. So it's not a data enrichment that we do, it's something that we do upon request. Now, for one language, so for Norwegian, there was an activity done with the Norwegian Medicines Agency, where we did cleanse all the Norwegian translations, and many additional translations were added as provided by the NCA. So if any other NCA would be interested in performing a similar activity, then we can plan this. But without a change request or without this cooperation with a specific NCA, then we would not enrich at this moment with translations from other languages.
Nice, thank you. So the next question, is there any plan to present the content in SMS in a different format than the Excel list that we have right now? Iris does not give all the details.
Yeah, so at the moment, there's 3 main ways to access SMS data. So there is the substance export that is available in the SPOR portal in CSV format. There is Iris, which has a limited user interface, but there is also the SMS API. So if you do connect to the SMS API, and access is possible for industry and NCAs and any users, then you can access all the SMS data fields. So industry would have access only to the public data fields, NCAs would have access to all the data fields, including the restricted ones. In parallel to this, there are also plans to improve the user interface in Iris so that all the public information is available there, but I cannot provide timelines on these technical changes yet because they have not yet been prioritized.
Okay, I think we might have time to following question. Could you please share the list of substances that have been switched to flag 1?
I'm not sure how I could share that. So the current list with the current flag is available in the substance export in the SPOR portal, but that export is as of today, based on the changes done yesterday. So I don't know how I could share the changes from last year to this year. But if you look at the comments and the column comments and the column SVG flag, then you can see which substances can be used as of today. And this information is also available in the API. So if you do connect to the API, then you can also see this information.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. I think we have time for a last question. Are MA holders required to start replacing those substances that have the SBG flag 0 with those that have the SBG flag 1? Are there any timelines?
Yes, so this is not a requirement. This is an advice. So in general, marketing authorization holders and sponsors and applicants, so any user of SMS data should avoid as much as possible substances with SVG flag 0. So you are not required to replace them now, but you are strongly advised to do so. At some point in the future, we will perform a data fix to relink the products that are using these substances with SVG flag 0 to SVG flag 1, but this needs to be properly planned, taking into account the changes not only in XEVMPD, but also in PMS. So this will be a very complex exercise. There's no timelines yet for it, but once we plan it, we will give you plenty of time in advance so that you can also prepare yourself for it. But most likely this exercise will not happen this year, at least definitely not in the next quarters.
Thank you, Pedro. And with this, we've come to the end of the SMS session. So we will come back to the presentation, and I'll give the floor to Deborah for the OMS status update.
Thank you, Marcos. Good morning. So for today, we go over this. We start with the overview of the OMS activities. So to end the year, last year we did our yearly review of the OMS FAQs and the respective service desk articles. So these are now up to date. In terms of data management, we helped our colleagues from the enterprise EMA with some mappings, but we will go over these details on what exactly is this in the next slide. Later on this year, as Pedro already mentioned, we will have our data management handover. When it comes to data quality, we will continue working on our data quality profiles. This is an ongoing work that you will always see this placeholder in our OMS slides. Still under the data quality, we're still working towards reviewing all the legal entities types that we have in our business data quality standards. And this major review that we're doing is no more than just to ensure that the legal entity types that we are using today are still valid according to the national standards. So we're going to each national business registry to ensure that what we have is indeed the latest version of the data. In terms of documentation, so last quarter we did the publication of the first draft of the policy on alternative names. We will work towards adding more rules, which means more countries. So it's a work in progress in this document. So if you find, we ask people to review this document and to let us know via service desk ticket, in case you identify something that it doesn't make sense or we need to improve in the document. During the current quarter, we aim to do a review of our control vocabulary document, which is the document basically that defines the categories that we use in OMS. We'll go over the details in a couple of slides. In terms of awareness and visibility, so we are today here in our SPOR update webinar. We will have the normal one per quarter. And we're now doing the month since last September. We're doing the also the monthly clinics where we ask people to come. And using Slido, you can ask any question to us, and we will help the best possible way. In terms of modernization and information management, what are we doing? So we're still working on this informatic MDM upgrade. Is a major activity that we're doing on the back end. Just to give you more information on the recent deployments we did and what we aim to do in the current quarter, but we'll go over in the next slides. If I can ask you to please move to the next one. So for the last quarter activities that we were able to conclude, it was this enterprise mappings. So why did we do this this activity. So with this, we expect to support the expedite communication when sharing good practices within and outside the EU. So this, what is this database? So this is no more than the European network of pediatric research at EMA database. So how did we help this with this? So in this activity, so basically we map all organizations that they had in the previous database to support and to smooth the experience, the move into the new database. So any user that goes as soon the database already went live. So from the day zero, or all the organizations that existed in the previous database, they are now registered in OMS, and the user experience is going to be smoother. The data quality of the data that this database is using, of course, is going to be higher. And the user experience we already mentioned. So moving on into the work that we will be doing in the current quarter. So as I mentioned, we aim to do a review of our category document. So this is a document that has been published a long time ago. It is just part of our ongoing and continuous review of all our documentation. This review, of course, will help us improve our data profiling. So those data quality dashboards that I was mentioning, we have some that are based on the categories. So it's very important to ensure that we have the right categories and we use the right attributes under the right organizations. So how we're going to do this is, as I mentioned, we will review to ensure that we have the right definitions, and if there is a need to create more categories, we will do so. This document, of course, we will also increase the transparency so that users have a clear information on when each category should be used, and also to facilitate the data usage. In terms of version features that they were actually deployed, because we are already at the end of the month, but it was an activity performed during the Q1, which is the version reason is now available in the OMS exports. With this, we hope to increase the transparency on the reason why we are creating new versions every day. So in the past, what we did last year was we added these new fields to our database, and now we're finally able to expose this in our OMS exports. This is now, this version reason is now available through API and via the OMS exports. With this, of course, we aim to improve the user experience, and in this way, it will be easier for all users to get this information, not only the ones that are using the API format. Later in the quarter, we hope to work on bring back the OMS export. So with the recent transition we did, that we try to move all the managed services into service desk. So we temporarily lost the access to all users to our export. So we are working during the current quarter to bring this back. So we want, at the moment, only one is available under the document section, but we are working towards bring all the exports back, so that right now, if you want these exports, you still have them, but you need to request them, creating a ticket in service desk. With this, of course, we expect to improve the user experience, because there will be no waiting time. The user is a self-service action, and the user can just go to the portal and select the export they want to obtain. So if we move to the next slide, just a quick summary, highlights for you. So the request reason available in the export. This is now in production. We did this EMA mappings. At the moment, we are working towards bringing all the exports visible to all users as a self-service. We are working also towards review the document category in continuous improvement of the OMS policy on alternative names. And from the back end, the MDM, we're working to have the MDM upgrade in our platform. In terms of future changes, of course, in next quarter, we will start our data management handover, like I mentioned before. We aim to start also the OMS merge guideline, so a document where we will expand on how we do these merges and how the user should expect when we do a merge. And we're still working towards reviewing all these legal entity types. And I think we can go to the questions.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So yeah, we have actually 9 minutes for questions. So again, you have here the QR code for the Slido, and you also have the hashtag. I hope everybody's already in Slido asking questions, so I can move to the presentation. So we can start with the first question for you, Deborah. So OMS, if an organization has changed the name in OMS and this is still not submitted through the dossier to the NCA, how we should proceed with the initial, this is PMS maybe, proceed with the initial MBO enrichment, submit with the new name or use invalid organization? If present, sometimes the organization with the previous name does not exist anymore.
I think it's probably OMS because from what it's probably a PMS question because the change already happened in OMS and now the user is asking how to proceed with the enrichments.
Yeah, so maybe I can answer very quickly. So you still need to submit for the enrichment that location ID, and just select the location ID. It will have the latest name, maybe, or not. It depends if Iris has taken the latest name. But anyway, you need to submit the location ID that is relevant for this manufacturer, and that would be the answer to this question. The next question, for CROs organizations to be added in OMS, we have been informed if the organization is in NBR, it's enough. Please, can you let me know if NBR is available per country, respective of EU or non-EU? Can you also please provide the NBR website and some more details?
Yes, all this is available in the OMS data quality standards. It's a document available in our OMS section, our OMS repository. And there you have the links to all National Business Registry websites, including for EU and non-EU. So you have all this information in the OMS portal.
Okay, thank you. Next questions. Are there plans to include all the regional authorities for all EU countries which applies in OMS? And if not, how can an organization without an official establishment document can be requested?
Regional authorities for all EU countries. I'm assuming here we're talking National Business Registry, so I will be answering the question, assuming you're asking these regional authorities, you're referring to the National Business Registry. We already have all National Business Registries in our document. If not, how can an organization without an official? So here, we have a mechanism to register and to try to validate organizations that are not registered with the National Business Registry. But here, we need to be attentive that those exceptional procedures only work for public entities, including hospitals and academia. So not all entities, such as private entities, we will be able to use these exceptions. In OMS, we can only register if they are available in the National Business Registry. I hope this answered the question. If not, please resubmit it and elaborate a little bit more so that I can better assist. Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah. Next question is if you please confirm that currently the exports of OMS data and also the change requests are currently available via the service desk, but they will be moved to the OMS portal in the future as they were before.
No, we don't have this in plan, and later on I will talk a little bit more about this and the recent changes to show you the holistic view of this new of the impact of this change and what users should expect. But in short, no, we will the exports indeed, like I mentioned, they will come back to the SPOR portal because we want to, and it makes sense to have a self-service action in the exports. However, change requests, because we need action from the data steward, we plan to, this will remain in the service now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have time for more? Yeah.
Yeah, we have 3 minutes. So the next one is if you can please explain how do you verify or check whether the information that it's in the national registry is used also in the basis for OMS validation.
How do you verify whether the information that you use as basis is correct? Well, we hope that that the local authorities maintain and have the legal obligation to ensure that what they have in their databases is accurate. This is why we follow these national business registries, and we follow the official. Sorry, we follow the official ones.
Okay, thank you. I think we have maybe time for the last question. By OMS export, do you mean the OMS export function in SPOR OMS, which belong to the organizations?
All of them. So right now we're only exposing the all organization export. But yes, this when I mention OMS exports includes also the search, the ones that after you perform a search and you can you can get exports related to your search. But not only this, also exports that contain the history of your search. And if you remember, before in the main page, you always, after you log in, you are always prompt with 2 exports, with the export all organizations and export all organizations with history. So all these exports is what I meant by OMS exports.
We have a minute, and maybe related to this, there was a bug with the previous data regarding the organization, where in the export, when there was a change, that was not available. Do you have any update on this?
There was a bug where the previous data regarding was not available. Okay, that's main there. So I'm assuming this is referred to, it's a bug that after affecting only organizations that have been merged. This we have not been able to start the work on this bug, but we aim to start probably in the next quarter. So hopefully we'll have more information about this next quarter. At the moment, we don't have more information.
Thank you, Deborah. And also, just some time, we can move now to the next part, which is RMS. So, Jaume, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marcos. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaume González. I'm the business lead for RMS. So I'll give you an overview on the activities. So in terms of customer services, we continue to provide support to NCAs who want to publish translations in RMS. And this is actually planned as a permanent activity. Then for the second quarter of the year, we are planning to start the analysis of a bulk update process for the EMDN list, which is a catalog of medical devices owned by the European Commission. In terms of data quality, there is a lot planned, as you can see in the slide. At the end of last quarter, we published the latest MEDRA version 28.1, and we completed the review of the manufacturing activity list to add aliases, and in addition, there were 2 new terms that were added. We also created a multidisciplinary group of experts to review 3 important RMS lists, which are the special precautions for storage, shelf life, and materials. The review should start within the next few days, and it's planned to be completed by Q2 this year. Other activities planned in the data quality area are the publication of the 2026 version of the ATC human and vet lists, planned for this quarter, the publication of MEDRA version 29 and the EMDN list, both planned for the second quarter of this year, and then VEDRA version 22, planned around the third quarter of this year. Last but not least, in the second quarter of this year, we plan to resume work to create or update data quality profiles and data quality reports, and this is to improve data quality through updates like adding missing term descriptions or assigning current terms to non-current terms. Moving now to documentation. The review of the list information documents continues from last year, and the expectation is that by the end of the third quarter, all lists in RMS should have this document available. Similarly to last year, we are also planning the publication of the yearly update summaries for the ATC human and ATC vet lists in the present quarter, and also the yearly update summaries for VEDRA around Q3, and which will show the exact changes implemented with the yearly updates, and also the mappings between the RMS IDs and either the ATC codes or the VEDRA IDs, respectively. In terms of awareness, you can see the plan. It doesn't differ from what my other colleagues have displayed. And last but not least, regarding modernization activities, there is work ongoing on the functionality to see previous versions of RMS terms via the API, and I will cover this later. And the expectation is to implement this by the end of this quarter. Regarding the upgrade of the Informatica MDM system, testing has been completed for RMS, and the deployment is expected by the end of this quarter. Another positive development last quarter was the reinstatement of the functionality to export lists from the RMS portal, which had been removed in October last year with the transition of change requests from the RMS portal to Service Desk. And last, the analysis of the integration between the MEDRA API and the RMS API is planned to start also this quarter. If we can move to the next slide, please. So work that was completed in the last quarter of 2025. So you may be aware that MEDRA is updated twice yearly by MSSO, who is the owner of the list, and then RMS publishes the updates in the RMS portal as soon as possible after these updates are made available. So concretely, the latest MEDRA version 28.1 was released by MSSO on the 15th of September, and this update was published in the RMS portal in October 25. As a result of these operational updates, this list is now complete and up to date, which may increase the usage of the list, and it should reduce the number of requests for new or updated terms. In addition, further to the review of the manufacturing activity list that was completed in January last year, where actually short terms and descriptions were reviewed, an additional review of the list was completed last quarter, but this time the focus was on synonyms, as only a few terms had them, and in some cases this could create confusion, and this could also raise questions from users. In addition to this, a couple of new terms were added, as these were deemed necessary by the experts consulted. And for more details, a summary of the decisions of those discussions can be found in the document area of the RMS portal. With these updates, we improved clarity and process efficiency, as aliases should help with the understanding of terms, and it should reduce the number of questions or change requests for this list. The other piece of work completed last quarter was the identification of experts from the network to review the 3 key lists that I mentioned earlier, so special precautions for storage, shelf life, and materials, given the high number of requests received for these lists and the need to have them ready for PMS implementation. The review should start within the next few days. Actually, we are finalizing the materials, which we will very soon circulate to the experts. And implementation should finalize by the end of the second quarter of this year. So once the review is complete, the 3 lists should be up to date and ready for regulatory purposes. Last but not least, as of October 25, the export of lists was disabled from the RMS portal as a consequence of moving the change request functionality from the RMS portal to Service Desk. However, given the heavy use of exports within the RMS portal, this functionality was restored in December 2025. So all lists can now be exported from the RMS portal, with the exception of 3 lists, which are the ATC Human, ATC Vet, and MEDRA. For those, if an export is needed, this has to be requested through Service Desk, and this is for copyright reasons. So, in summary, this resulted in an improved experience, as users can now access exports as self-service with no waiting time, and there is no need to raise a request for those exports. So, what are the main activities planned for the present quarter? The first item is the update of the ATC Human and Vet lists to version 2026. These lists are updated by the WHO Collaborating Center around January every year, and RMS publishes the updates soon afterwards. EMA expects to get the yearly updates from WHO very soon, and to implement the changes in RMS within the next few weeks. As a result of these operational updates, the list should be complete and up to date, which should increase the usage of the list, and it should reduce the number of requests for new or updated terms. The other piece of work planned for this quarter is the functionality to get previous versions of an RMS term via the API, as I was mentioning earlier. The reason for doing this is to let users see what has changed within a term and to be able to query specific versions of terms. The way that the API is designed is that it can be queried by version number or using an as of date, or it can also list all the versions of a term. With this functionality, there should be more clarity and transparency on the changes, and this should improve the process of synchronization thanks to the possibility to see or select different versions of terms. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So a quick summary of RMS activities. So work that has been completed since the last webinar is the publication of MEDRA version 28.1, the review of the manufacturing activity list, which now contains more aliases and 2 additional terms, the creation of a multidisciplinary group of experts to review the special precautions for storage, shelf life, and materials list, and the reinstatement of the list export functionality in the SPOR portal. In terms of ongoing work, we have the review of the 3 lists mentioned earlier, the publication of the list information documents that are missing, and the deployment of the Informatica MDM upgrade. Changes expected in the near future are the 2026 updates of the ATC human and vet lists, the handover of the data management team, and the functionality to check previous versions of an RMS term via the API. And last but not least, and in the longer term, we are planning to work on the integration of the RMS API and the MEDRA API and the implementation of a bulk update process to ensure future updates of the MDN list. So that's all for RMS. We can now move to questions.
Thank you, Jaume. So, yeah, we have 8 minutes before the break to reply to some of the questions. So, for RMS, the first question is, we have 2 terms for the marketing status. So we have not marketed and never marketed, but we don't see the description for this in RMS. When do the above values need to be used? Can you provide the scenarios?
I think I'll take note of these 2 and I'll have to check offline because, I mean, I will need to dig into it. But I agree, if there are no descriptions for those 2, I think we're going to liaise with colleagues to ensure that we add them because that will be useful for sure.
Okay, so I think one of the action points that we need to take is to include the descriptions in RMS so people can understand when these values should be used, like what's the difference between them. Okay. Next question is, how will we reach and download the changes of ATC codes?
So as of last year, right after the publication of the yearly updates, we are, in addition, publishing a document in the document section of the RMS portal, which is called Yearly Update Summary. And that document will contain the exact list of new terms or updated terms, so new ATC codes and updated ATC codes. And you will also be able to find there the RMS IDs and the ATC codes, so the mappings between those 2.
Perfect, thank you. Next one, will we be able to subscribe to certain lists in order to receive notifications that an update has been performed, that it was possible to do before?
So I'm afraid this functionality disappeared with the transition of the change requests from the RMS portal to Service Desk. So for the moment, this functionality is not there anymore, and there are no plans, at least in the near future, to reinstate this. If the person who asked this question has any specific needs, and if they want to contact us offline, we can try to see and see how we can help with this.
Okay, thank you. So we have documents D1, 2, and 3, and we have some terms that are indicated as non-current, but the proposed term to replace them is either empty or indicated as to be added. How long will it take for the correct proposed term to be updated?
I'll have to check. I think these D1, 2, and 3 documents, I think this might be linked to the mapping exercise that we did a while back. I'll have to look into this. And I'll also have to check with colleagues who are involved with the mappings between RMS and XEVMPD, as I'm not sure of this. So I think we can come back after the webinar. We can put a note in Slido after the webinar.
Yeah, we can check this one as well. Thank you. We still have 4 minutes, so the next question is, do you have any update for the medical device list?
Yes, so medical device list, the EMDN list, I think I've mentioned in the presentation, it's planned for as of second quarter of this year, if I'm not mistaken. So there should be work on this year.
Okay, nice. The next one is related to the translator role for the NCA, as it has been removed. Is there any plan to have it restored?
There are no plans, at least in the near future, to restore this. I mean, the roles themselves, they should be there in the EMA system still, but it's true that translators cannot anymore log in the system and add the translations themselves offline or online. We have to say also we experience a lot of issues regarding translations and NCA colleagues trying to upload their translations and having issues there. So that's one of the reasons why we removed it. So as indicated in the A6 document that you can find in the document area of RMS, the plan, the rules are for NCA translators to contact us directly, to raise a request, and to provide details of what needs to be added. And we will be able to help with that.
Okay, I think the next question is also kind of the same, is the ability to record translations in RMS. So I guess that is, the answer is still the same.
Yes.
Okay. Then we still have time for one more. So is it mandatory to incorporate EDQM terminology list in the safety database for ICSR's processing whenever this list is updated? I'm not sure if that is.
I think this one we should liaise with ICSR colleagues.
Yeah, so that one we will also come back later. So for the moment, we don't have any other question for RMS. We still have 2 minutes before the break. So if you have any question for RMS, please use Slido and let us know. We will still be here for 2 minutes in case any question comes. Otherwise, we reconvene at 20 past 11 to continue with the next topics, which will be XEVMPD and PMS. But still, we have 2 minutes in case you have any question for RMS. Okay, so as we don't have any question, we will go to the coffee break. In the meantime, you have 10 minutes, please, to complete the survey that we have every year we ask you to please scan the QR code and spend some time to reply to some questions. Give us your feedback. I will come back with the same message later, but please, if you can use the time to complete the satisfaction survey, we will really appreciate that. Otherwise, we see you in 10 minutes. So in 20 past 11, we will come back. Thank you. Welcome back. I hope you filled the SPOR customer satisfaction survey. So I will repeat this again. We would really appreciate if you can scan the QR code. You also have the link in the presentation that is available in the event webpage, and you fill, please, the survey. We are spending a lot of time replying to your questions. Now we are asking you to reply to our questions. We really use the information that you provide. We are trying to improve these webinars. We have the Q&A, so all these initiatives are coming from somewhere. If you can please fill the survey, that will really help us improve. Said that, and following the agenda, we continue with the XEVMPD status update. So Veronica, over to you.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Good morning, everyone. My name is Veronica Baker. I am an XEVMPD co-lead and a service coordinator for XEVMPD services here at the EMA. I will be providing you with the update related to XEVMPD activities and submissions in general. With regards the work that has taken place during Q4 of the last year or since Q4 of the last year, we have reviewed and uploaded many XEVMPD submission-related questions and answers in ServiceNow. So ServiceNow is the EMA Service Desk portal. In order for you to have easier access to some of the questions and answers which are currently published in the PDF document on our XEVMPD submissions related webpage. This work is ongoing. We will be publishing more questions and answers as they come because it is a faster way of sharing certain information with you. In terms of XEVMPD data management and services, the mapping services that we provide to national competent authorities have been extended until the end of the next year. And with regards to XEVMPD data quality, as some of you might be aware, we have identified authorized medicinal product entries which have been referenced in QPPV codes associated with virtual affiliate profiles, and we have sent a dedicated communication to those marketing authorization holders with a request for update before the 26th of January. Again, I will be providing further information on the next slide related to this activity. With regards to XEVMPD documentation, we have published a draft user manual of the upgraded user interface, which again, I will be informing you in the feature later today. And we have also published a dedicated article in ServiceNow related to the new user interface. We started our monthly clinics, and this will continue also throughout the year. And the customer satisfaction survey was also shared with you and reviewed by us. With regards to the user interface, we have completed internal UAT in Q4. And long-awaited information related to when this new UI will be rolled out will be provided in the feature later this during this session later on. We are also, from Q1 of this year, we are also starting to work on the development of XEVMPD bulk export and bulk update functionality, which will be part of the new user interface. At the moment, these are separate tools which are available in the due diligence restricted area. And what we want to do is, similarly to the post functionality, which is now part of the new user interface, we would like to move these two functionalities also as part of the new user interface. For those of you who have managed to look at the draft user manual, you also have screenshots there from the new user interface, so you can see what this will look like when implemented. And from Q4 of this year, we're also planning to develop the functionalities for EMA users, which are applicable to us in the new user interface. Marcos, can you go back? Can we still? Thank you very much. What I also wanted to mention is that we will be focusing from Q1 of this year we will be making a slight process change when it comes to the submission and assessment of MEDRA terms in your product entries in the XEVMPD. I will be providing further information on next slide. And we will also be going through the data management team handover, just like mentioned by my other service colleagues. There has also been a slight process change when it comes to the validations of the new authorized medicinal product entries. Again, further information will be provided shortly. And a slight process in the way you reference a QPPV code in your authorized medicinal product entries. These should not be QPPV codes associated with virtual affiliate profile. Again, further information to be provided shortly. And what we're also going to be doing in terms of XEVMPD related documentation, we will be publishing the final XEVMPD web user manual. So there's the user manual, which is applicable for the new user interface. And we will also be performing update of training documentation. I will be making updates to Chapter 3.2, so that's the guidance documents for marketing authorization holders, and sponsor guidance document to ensure that we reference all the new changes that has happened since last year or at the beginning of this year. Marcos, next slide, please. Thank you. With regards to the process change and validations of new authorized medicinal product entries, which I mentioned earlier, in order for us to cope with the increased workload and to manage the validations more efficiently, we had to slightly change the process or the prioritization of the product entries that we receive. You might not be aware, but we receive on average between 5,000 to 6,000 new EV codes on a weekly basis. And therefore, we have defined a new priority to when each group of products is validated. So in general, we aimed to validate any newly received product within 2 weeks since the initial submission. Obviously, we have been receiving an increased amount of product entries due to the package submissions for a while now, and the workload was just becoming a little more intense, and therefore we have started to prioritize a completely new product, so products which have been approved for authorization, and we don't have any information about such product in the XEVMPD as a high priority, and also products which are related to critical and non-critical medicines. These products are validated first. We then distinguish whether the product information that we received as new is related to new package records related to critical medicines, and whether the information within these records contains consistent or inconsistent data. If the data is inconsistent and the new product that we receive contains information that is somehow different to the package that is already available in the XEVMPD and has been validated, then we ensure that we validate this information. If, however, the package record that we receive as new contains consistent data with the package which is already in the XEVMPD, then this type of product is validated in due course. What is the benefit and what is the impact for you as marketing authorization holder? Well, the benefit is that we will have no delay in the validation of new or critical medicinal product records. And the impact is that the validation of new package records with consistent data may take longer. So that means that you will not receive the third acknowledgement, which is validation related for this particular product, within the 2 weeks since your initial submission. So please bear with us. We will validate those product records. However, the validation might take a little bit longer. In terms of the identification of the authorized medicinal products referencing QPPVs associated with virtual affiliates profiles in EudraVigilance, we have been asked by national competent authorities to review the information that we receive for QPPVs. The reason being that very often the 24/7 contact number for QPPVs, this number was missing. And obviously this number then was not reflected in the medicinal product entry in which the QPPV or the QPPV code was referenced. So virtual affiliate profiles in the EudraVigilance registration database are copies of headquarter profiles. And the virtual affiliate profiles are created for very specific reasons, one of them being, for example, to allow the marketing authorization holder to register in EudraVigilance for a submission through a different submission mode. So if the headquarter profile is set up as a gateway provider, then by having a virtual affiliate, the MAH can also submit data using WebTrader. However, what happened that for virtual affiliate profile, you also have to have a QPPV. And because it's a copy of the headquarter, if the QPPV 24/7 phone number was not provided for the QPPV, and then the company referenced in the authorized medicinal product the QPPV code associated with the virtual affiliate, the 24/7 phone number was missing. For this reason, we have identified authorized medicinal product entries in which the QPPV code that was referenced was associated with virtual affiliate. We have also contacted all of the marketing authorization holders, and we have asked for them to update their medicinal product entries by the 26th of January of this year and make sure that they reference a QPPV code that is associated with the headquarter or regular affiliate profile. Also, the 24/7 contact number was made a mandatory information to be provided during the registration of a QPPV, and it's also a mandatory field that you need to fill in the profile that you have in the EudraVigilance restricted area. Very quick update on the upgraded XEVMPD user interface. As I mentioned before, we have published the draft user manual and the article in ServiceNow, and this was to increase transparency of the upgraded user interface, giving you a chance to have a look at the screenshots from the new user interface, become more familiar with what this interface will look out when it is actually made available to you. Next slide, please. What's next and what will be done in Q1 or starting from Q1? As I mentioned before, we will make a minor change related to how you submit MEDRA coding terms or how you code indications in your authorized medicinal product entries in the XEVMPD. We will encourage you now to reference preferred terms as part of your AMPs. So as you know, until now, we have been saying that MEDRA coding must be done at the level which is the most granular level, so the LLT, low-level terms. You can now also start submitting preferred terms in your authorized medicinal product. There is no need for you to perform a dedicated update of all of your products reference preferred terms. You can continue to reference your LLTs. However, we would encourage you, when you submit in new products or when you're making the next update of your existing product entry, to include the preferred term in your authorized medicinal product. The reason being that we want to simplify MEDRA coding and also avoid the corrections and disputes which we often have between the MAH and the EMA validation team coding of indications. The coding will be simplified and it will also be consistent for all products in a cluster. We will not be performing validations on LLT terms. The EMA validation team will be performing validations of preferred terms only. Another process change that we have implemented, and this is linked to the QPPV code associated with the virtual affiliate. We have now implemented a new technical restriction in XEVMPD, which means that if you haven't done the update that we requested you to do by the 26th of January, if your authorized medicinal product entry in the XEVMPD currently references a QPPV code associated with a virtual affiliate, when you perform a next update of the XEVMPD, you will receive a negative acknowledgement saying that you are not allowed to reference a QPPV code associated with the virtual affiliate, and you should reference a QPPV code of your QPPV registered at the headquarter level or at a regular affiliate level. As I mentioned before, also the EV registration database was updated to ensure that 24/7 number is provided. This field has become mandatory. And if you did not provide this number in your due diligence profile, I strongly recommend you to do that at your earliest convenience. With regards to the new XEVMPD user interface, to deliver the most up-to-date versions of the documentation that is available to user, we will be publishing the final version of the user manual in February. We will also be working on updated versions of the training presentations. Again, this is something that should be done by end of February 2026. And we will also start working on updates of the step-by-step guides, which we aim to have completed by the end of Q2 2026. With regards to the highlights, just to summarize, we will be making available the new XEVMPD user interface for you sometimes in February. So this is the announcement. Again, I will be providing more information in the future that is coming up. Just to, again, bring your attention to the fact that if you're referencing QPPV codes associated with a virtual affiliate in the authorized medicinal product entries in the XEVMPD, please make sure that you update this information, again, at your earliest convenience. As I've mentioned before, we have slightly changed the way we validate the newly received product entries in the XEVMPD. We have implemented a prioritization, so you might be experiencing some delays with receiving the third acknowledgement for some of your package presentations that you submitted in the XEVMPD. And we also have new frequently asked questions and articles available in service now. So please go in the EMA Service Desk portal, and in the search field, you can search for XEVMPD submissions related FAQs and articles. In terms of ongoing work, as I mentioned, we are continuing to provide mapping services to national competent authorities until the end of the next year. We are also now starting the work on the development of the XEVMPD bulk export functionality and also XEVMPD bulk update within the new user interface. We are updating XEVMPD training documentation, and we are obviously publishing more articles and more questions in service now. With regards to future changes, you are encouraged to start, as of today, referencing MEDRA preferred terms in your authorized medicinal products. We will be doing the data management team handover and also start developing functionalities for EMA users in the new user interface. And even future changes include the improvement of cluster validations for updated authorized medicinal products and the integration of product validation with review of substances with SVG flag 0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. We are running a bit out of time, so I will jump directly to the questions so we can spend a couple of minutes there. So the first question is related to some issues that the users are experiencing when downloading XMLs and RTFs after the latest maintenance session that we had in XEVMPD. Do you have any comment there when it will be fixed?
Yes, we are aware of this issue, and we do apologize for any inconveniences that this is causing for you. You may have received, if you're a registered user, you may have received already a notification of a planned maintenance which is planned for this Saturday. Hopefully this will resolve the issue. However, I also encourage you to check the EMA services portal because we are publishing updates related to these issues there.
Thank you. We have the usual question when XEVMPD or EV Web is going to be phased out. So maybe a quick answer is we don't have a date yet. Whenever we have this information, we will let you know. I don't know if you want to complement.
Just to complement that, with regards to when will EV Web will be phased out, please wait for the feature which we have very shortly.
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe we can have another one. So that one is also related to the issues that we already said, so I will skip this one. And we have one related to the training. So is it possible to complete the training in XEVMPD using the new XEVMPD web interface, or should we wait before starting the training?
As I mentioned, we will be releasing, or the plan is to release the user interface for you as XEVMPD users in February, and therefore the training, the XEVMPD e-learning training, will be starting in the user interface from February. But again, I recommend waiting for the feature, as I will be providing some information on this as well.
Okay. Just the last question, as we promised to at least reply to the 5 most voted ones. So we have, after changing the QPPV, EMA is sending an email saying that they need to do this change within 15 days, even though the guidance says that it's 30 days for this deadline. Can you clarify what's the reason for this shorter time?
It could be the fact that these notifications are sent through, they are automated basically. So if our system spots that the QPPV reference in a product is no longer active in the user evidence registration database, then the communication is sent to the MAH. We understand that you do have the 30 calendar days to update the information. It is just an automatic notification that is sent to us. If you update it within the 30 calendar days, there's nothing you need to do within the 15 calendar days.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Then I think we can move on to the next block. We have PMS, so over to the other Veronica.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'll give you an update indeed on the status progress of the product management system. So to start first, as part of the project, as you know, PMS is a very much live project. The fact that we have released few capabilities doesn't mean that we have completed the whole PMS scope. So first of all, we have been able to publish a bunch of information and a bunch of documentation over the last quarter. You can see here in this slide a bit an overview, which I will guide you deeper in the next slides. But basically, the FAQ have been updated, if I'm not mistaken, October, with new information, new bunch of data quality defect that we have been able to address, that we are planning to address, for which there is an action that the MAHs can take over. So I would invite you to have a look. We also published a bunch of information and documentation in terms of the product user interface, the navigation guide, few chapter of the implementation guide in PMS, specifically chapter 3 and chapter 1, with additional information for the data submission and the access and registration. If you remember, in Q4, we opened the UAT test environment for the PMS API for the industry and even authorities to kind of see how it works before going to production. So that's why chapter 1 has been updated. And also we published an online version of the PMS Write API implementation guide for the people who are using the API. Again, we receive a lot of tickets. So in the context of the customer services, we receive an average of 200 tickets per month. We have also onboarded new people. So hopefully in 2026 we will be able to support more and more on the ticket and hopefully speed up the time frame for replying to all of you. I know there are a few delays. This is fully aware, but we have been training new colleagues, so just to give them the time to improve and take the knowledge for them, for their side, to address properly the tickets. So we are constantly involved on the ServiceNow handling of tickets for PMS, and most of the time we are also supporting other products and projects, ESMP, EAF, etc. So you will see that this is running constantly throughout the whole 2026 also. We also have started to include in this slide few information related to data quality, because we know, and most of the people knows that with the opening of PMS, there are of course few information that needs to be fixed, few bugs that have been identified in the context of the UAT after the testing, and we had decided to fix it on a routine basis. So you will see that in Q4 we have addressed several bugs fixing, and I will give you more information on that. This is not all we are doing, so we didn't focus only in Q4. The plan is to focus throughout the whole 2026 and beyond, of course, depending on the releases that we do over the time. In terms of documentation, maybe something that it might be very important for you or interesting, we have launched in December the PMS SME call for expression of interest. So if you are willing to submit any application or you have any interest in joining the PMS official industry or network group, you're welcome to submit it. Online there is the documentation that explains how to do it. But then also in Q1 we plan to release again, as part of the projects and the progresses that we have planned, a bunch of documentation as part of the implementation guide, chapter 5, Annex A. This is mostly in the context and in the preparation of the release of the public PMS API. Then we also plan to release the technical specification, an updated version of Q&A, because for us it's very important to streamline the communication in terms of bugs, data fixes, actions that the industry or network may need to take on in terms of the data available in PMS. Then we plan also to launch a survey for the users of PUI, but also API, and then we release the newsletters later in Q2. This is something we have anticipated in the last quarter, but has been postponed to Q2. We plan to release the first version of the chapter 4, which is going to explain the data quality framework of the PMS products information. In terms of events, as you can see, we are always plenty of activities. So we have been hosting a bunch of webinars for the release of the bulk capability in PUI and the opening of the PMS API. This is in the past, so quarter 4. Now for Q1, we don't plan anything except the system demo. If you're familiar with the way we work in Agile, we always host a system demo to show the latest capability that we've been able to release, or improvements or refinements. But then in Q2, we plan with the future release of the public PMS API, we also plan to release a webinar. And then the third edition of the PMS Info Day. This is becoming a tradition, so I hope you can join. It will be broadcasted also. Then in terms of the projects related activity, we have been released, finally fixed, the possibility for MAHs to request in IAM the read-only PUI user roles. So I will give you more information later on, but we finally tested it, and I need to thank also the industry who supported us in this test. Then we have been released more reports for the registered users, so MAH or NCAs, to access data in a more concrete way. We also been focusing on addressing data fixes, which are really linked to number one, bug fixes. And then we plan, as I said, to open PMS API. We postpone it a bit to Q2 because we wanted to implement also the access and security to control a bit who is accessing PMS API. And then last but not least, we will be starting working on the creation of pending products. So all those products that you need to have a record as a kind of provisional for the purpose of creating an initial marketing authorization. We are focusing on caps only because the first priority will be to start the decommissioning of SciMed, our system. In the next slide, I will just give you a summary very quick, just maybe focus more on the impact and the benefits for each activity. As I mentioned, number one, a bug fixing. So we will try to improve over the time the way we share this information, but I would also encourage you to join our monthly meetings where you can have a more detailed set of information on this. We have been focusing in Q4 in prioritizing these bugs that you can see. So any product that doesn't have yet the marketing authorization number at product level, in the case they are all the same, or when the units of presentation was missing or not totally included in the pharmaceutical products now has been fixed. And also the bugs that was creating a bunch of duplicated products records in PMS after the transfer for caps only. So these have been the prioritized bugs. Why? We don't take it random. We just decide to go on based on the most on the highest volume of products impacted. So if you don't see yet your issue being fixed, please don't get frustrated. We have a plan for that, and we're just going in order of the most impacted products. So what happened for you? Basically, you will see. I see in Slido you have submitted a bunch of comments asking for clarification on some bugs. I would encourage you to start having a look to the tickets that have been open, and they are falling within the concept of these bugs that have been fixing, because you can cross-check your product in PMS and you should see that all has been fixed. The point is that we're training new people to act and support us on PMS no ticket handling. So if you start having a look on your side in this no ticket that you open, maybe it will be faster. You can even interact with us and tell us, look, colleagues, this has not been fixed for my product. It should be rare, but if it's the case, it's still the most appropriate way. PMS documentation updates, I mentioned already. You have a bunch of information that has been released in the context of the test environment, a PMS API release, in the context of the accessibility, and some fixes that we have been released. So there is a benefit in terms of transparency and clear communication. We know there are a lot of documentation, but these are really needed because otherwise it's not possible to stay up to date with the progresses that happens on a monthly basis. SME call for expression, we launched in December 25. The then date is 31st of January. So there is still time for national competent authorities. We have been submitting this via HMA, network portfolio, but also for the industry stakeholders group, the relevant industry trade organization, they have all been informed. So some have already submitted their nomination, but there is still open. So in case you want to provide more volunteer, they are more than welcome to join. Of course, what do we offer with this group? As you know, PMS is a living project, so we really much need to interact and consult with our stakeholders, in particularly authorities and industry. So that's the benefit for you, strengthening the engagement with us. Then industry PUI read user role. Again, if you have been requested your role until before October, you could only see the traditional role, so the role that can allow you also to edit the data. But from October 25, you can also request the read-only roles. It means that you can only read the data and there is no possibility to edit. This could be very much useful for companies who wants to allow their staff to have a look to the data, but they don't want them to submit or update their information. With this role, they can still see the reports. So in this case, it's still quite useful. And it was a specific request coming from industry stakeholders group. In the next slide, I'll give you a few insights on what we are planning to fix in Q1. Again, documentation I mentioned already. With the future go live of PMS public API, we need to release, and actually this has already been released, next version of chapter 5. There are a few updates at the access level, some clarifications. Then Annex A, which will explains already and reports already the sets of new sets of data elements from PMS that we have agreed with our PMS industry and network SMEs, including network product owners, on those elements that can be made publicly available. Technical specification, meaning how can I use public PMS API, how can I access, and so on. And also the FAQ, because this is very much linked to newly identified issue or just recently updated issue, so you can the user might be impacted and they need to know what they need to do. You can have access, of course, to all of this information. Data fixing, this is one of the most important topics that we will try to improve more and more over the time. Following the bug fixing that I mentioned before in Q4, the subsequent natural workflow is to you first address the bug, so you try technically to fix the issue, but then you need to implement the fixing at product level, and this is the data fix. So we have been going to product by product to fix the data that are available there. For the moment, we have been able to remove all the previously created duplicated records for non-CAPS only colleagues. So if you have opened a ticket for CAPS, please wait because we are addressing first non-CAPS products. And if you remember, the creation of this duplicate should not be the correct approach. If you have created a package or more than one package that should go by the grouping element into one single PMS ID, you should not see any duplicates. So this is what we have been doing so far. We have been nullifying the duplicates, and the rest of the product remains as valid. And so the value, I'll go in order because otherwise I'll confuse you. The value for you is that now with the removal of all the duplicate products, you should be able to correctly identify the products record that you should be using for the selection of in the EAIF web-based form, so in the PLM portal. You should be having a look to your ticket again. As I mentioned, we are trying to do our best as fast as possible, even with new people on board, recently onboarded, to reply. But in case you can already start checking your products in the ticket that you have mentioned already and see if this is correctly propagated. We did a fix, so it should be working for all the all the products impacted, but please have a look and let us know. Then for the transfer pack size, what happens is that for the products that have been undergoing an MAH transfer, so marketing authorization transfer, of course, you have updated the XEVMPD records, which is the correct procedure as usual, but somehow some EV codes were not included in this relevant packaged medicinal product. So in this case, we have been able to correctly include the EV code as results from the MAA transfer updated in XEVMPD into the right created packaged medicinal products. What's the impact for you? Again, you should be able to see now fully and completely migrated those products and packages, so the EV codes referring to the packaged medicinal product, into the correct PMS ID, and you should be able to see both of them as part of the MAH transfer. You can start checking the availability of this information in the PMS. You can use API, you can use PUI, is the same, and see, and if you want, even close the tickets because there should be all of them should have been fixed. Again, if it has not been fixed, please do let us know. We do expect this to be very rare case scenario, but it's better that you interact with us. Thank you. Now, highlights for you. Again, just a summary. What we did so far, we finally reassigned the read and write industry P user role, so you can already decide with your administrator who can be assigned the read and the write user roles. We have released as usual, and we will be continuing releasing documentation up to date. The more we progress with the project, and the more we release the products documentation, the PMS documentation. We have been also launching the call for expression to join PMS as an SME group, subject matter expert. This is still open. And now we are focusing very much in working and delivering and testing the PMS public API, creating documentation as usual. I will be evaluating the candidates and the nomination for the PMS SMEs. And then as part of the usual work and commitment from the agency and PMS team, we will be continuously fixing the data and the issue that we have identified so far, just to reassure all of you. Again, future changes we expect by end of March, 31st of March is the first date to onboard the new PMS SMEs. There will be a time frame of handover with the current ones and the new ones, if possible. Depends when all nomination will come. Then chapter 4 again, data quality framework is very important piece of work. We are currently reviewing the first draft, but it still requires a bit of adjustment, so that's why we plan it for Q2. And then last but not least, a bunch of events. So the PMS Info Day, the third edition, this is broadcasted, so you're more than welcome to join. It will be on the 9th of June. I don't know if we have already published the information, but it will come soon. Then we will be also hosting the public PMS webinar for the public API, and then also focusing on the rest of the work here. The upgrade to PMS 5 R5 and the XEVMPD submission, the commission are included in the future changes simply because we need to first develop a full strategy in time frame, because the team at the moment is focused on the creation of the public API, and we need to have a bit of a more concrete roadmap for that. Then most importantly, a priority for us is starting creating the user journey for the creation of the pending products for the initial marketing authorization, starting from CAPS, and then later we will expand it to non-CAPS, but for the moment we focus on the CAPS. And then I think there is another slide. No questions.
No. So we are also running out of time. So I will quickly switch to Slido so we can reply at least to some of the questions that we have. So the first question is related to updates submitted to XEVMPD that are not coming to PMS, and that is of course affecting the use of the EAF, and some users are still using the PDF EAF. Is there any plan to fix this problem?
So, as I mentioned before, it depends which kind of change, and if it's part of the marketing authorization transfer, if it's just a simple update. So I will need at least to have a bit more information. What we can do, usually we receive a ticket and we investigate on it. As I mentioned before, if this question in particular is focused on some of the data fixes that we have been able to implement, maybe I don't know if you have checked today, but I would encourage you to have a look because the data, at least on those data fixes, have been implemented correctly. Then Marcos, if you want to complement,
yeah,
feel free,
I
please.
would recommend you to go to the Q&A document because maybe the bug is written there, and you will see when we are expecting to solve the issue. So we have the quarter when the issue will be fixed. So that would be my recommendation. The next question is related to the OMS integration with PLM. So the users have noticed that sometimes they send an MA holder or with an MBO with the correct log ID, but then the name displayed in the UI shows differently. So if we have some update, and maybe I can comment here. So EMA is working on this integration. It's not only affecting PMS, it's also affecting IRIS and other consuming systems from OMS. We are gathering all the information that we need, and we will start the implementation of some changes shortly, but we don't have any update on when this will be fixed. So for the moment, that is fine. If you send a manufacturer, the important thing is the log ID, that we have this information. Then if the latest data from OMS, like the latest name, is not correct, that will be fixed whenever we implement this solution on how we consume the data from OMS. So that is, for the moment, the information that we have. The next question is related to the validation of products in XEVMPD, because sometimes some EV codes are validated not together, like EV codes that belong to the same medicinal product are not validated together, and therefore changes, for example, to the name will create a new product in PMS. I can also maybe take this one. So we have improved the validation process. We are trying to validate all the EV codes that belong to the same medicinal product at the same time. So if we perform a change, it's performed to all of them. If there are cases where this is not happening, we apologize and we ask you to please open a ticket to XEVMPD, asking them to validate all the EV codes with the same information. And I think we might have time to another one. It's to clarify the enrichment of CROs. So if the CROs is inactive in OMS, if the CRO is not in OMS and is not longer existing, and if the CRO start date can be as the MA approval date. What about the end date if the organization is inactive? Any comment, Veronica, on this?
Do you want me? Yeah, I can reply. So, colleagues, yes, we are approaching these topics because we have received quite several tickets asking exactly this clarification. So we are still discussing, first of all, with the inspections team and the rest of the colleagues internally. But then what we can anticipate to you, then of course we will improve eventually Chapter 3. We do not request industry MAHs to submit inactive and not valid CRO data in PMS. For the moment, this is not needed at all. We're still discussing if anything will change, because again, discussions are ongoing. The place where you will find the information will be Chapter 3, as usual, because it's relevant for the data submission, but also the FAQ in case of clarification we receive most frequently requests. So you don't need for the moment to submit this information. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. We need to move to the next topic. So in this webinar, we have a new section, is this featured topic where we will talk about some functionalities that will be coming this year. So Veronica, I think you will present the first one. Is related to the XEVMPD web UI upgrade. I guess this will also reply to a lot of the questions we have received in Slido. So
indeed, I have been trying to respond to these questions already. But I would like to provide more detailed information about the new XEVMPD web UI upgrade during this particular feature. Just a reminder, why are we doing this particular upgrade? Well, as you might be aware, the current user interface, which is called XEVMPD EV Web, is based on an outdated technology, and therefore, in order for you to improve the user experience that you get when you use XEVMPD user interface, and also to allow you easier access without the need for the additional tools, which is ActiveX and IETAP, we have been working on this new upgraded user interface. This work started last year, and as I mentioned before, we aim to deliver this new user interface for you as external users sometimes in February of this year. What is going to happen is that the go-live date will be announced to you through a dedicated email. So an email will be sent to all of you Vigilance registered user. In that email, you will also receive the URL links to the production and to the XCOM, which is the test environment of the new user interface. We will also make these links available in the Vigilance restricted area. through which you can also access the current and also the new user interface. We would like to encourage you, so marketing authorization holder, sponsor, and national competent authority users to start using the new XEVMPD user interface as soon as it is made available to you in order for you to become familiar with this user interface. What I can share with you is that all the functionalities that you use as MAH and sponsor are available there. Also, the search functionalities, which are available to all of you, and also national competent authority users are also available. And what we have also made available as part of the new user interface is the post functionality. So the post functionality allows you to submit XML files and attachments without the need to actually make the submissions through the user interface. The post functionality is currently available outside the current user interface, so outside EVWeb, and it is available in the restricted area, or your driver restricted area. But you can also use the new post functionality, which is available, or it will be available, when the new user interface is live for you. Also, what I'd like to mention is that the XML files that you generate using the bulk update tool, again, this is a tool that is available to you at the moment in the user evidence restricted area. When you use that tool, you will be able to find the bulk update generated XML file in the current user interface, so in the EVWeb user interface, but also in the new user interface, so in XEVMPD web. What I would like to make very clear is, please note that when the new user interface is available to you, you will not need ActiveX or IETAB to access the user interface. However, if you want to continue using the XEVMPD export tool and the XEVMPD bulk update tool, you will still need to have ActiveX installed on your computer, at least for the transition period until we make these tools available to you in the new user interface. Also, another thing that I would like to clarify is, please note that the go live of the new XEVMPD user interface has no impact on gateway users. Nothing is changing for you. What will happen in Q2? We will restrict the access to the XEVMPD user interface. So when from the go live, there will be a transition period which will be a minimum of 3 months. So since the go live, for 3 months, you will be able to use both user interfaces, the new and also the current interface, which will become the old user interface. You will be able to make the submissions using both of them. From Q2, so sometimes in Q2, 3 months after the go live of the new, we will restrict your access to the old user interface. This means that you will no longer be able to use it. You will have to use the new XEVMPD user interface to perform your submissions and also to do the searches. The bulk export and bulk update will still be available in the EV restricted area. So for this, you will still need the ActiveX in order for you to use them. And as I mentioned before, the files that you generate through the bulk update, you will be able to retrieve only in the new XEVMPD user interface. In Q3, we will be working on updating or upgrading the bulk update and the bulk export tool so they become part of the new XEVMPD user interface, similarly to the functionality that I've mentioned before, which is post. In Q3, we will also enable, well, in Q3, basically, marketing authorization holders and sponsors and NCAs will only be able to use the new user interface for their searches and submissions, and you will also have the post, the bulk export, and the bulk update functionalities available within that new user interface. So you will not need ActiveX to use any of these tools from sometimes in Q3. Again, we will be communicating in detail with regards to any change that is affecting your submissions. In Q4, we will be working on the functionalities that are related to EMA, so those that support our validations, etc., also in the new user interface. And the plan to decommission the old user interface is at the moment foreseen sometimes in Q1 2027. So very few highlights. Your new XEVMPD user interface will be made available to you sometimes in February. As registered users, you will receive a dedicated email with the go-live date and also with the links that you should use to access this user interface. We will also make the URLs available in the restricted area, and there's several different communications which are planned in order to make all users aware of this change. You will need to use ActiveX to access bulk export and bulk update at least for the next 3 months after the go-live. Both user interfaces will work in parallel for those 3 months since go-live. And then in Q3, the plan is that also the bulk export and bulk update will become part of the new UI, and therefore you will no longer need ActiveX to access these tools. And the plan to decommission the old UI is foreseen for Q1 2027. Marcos, can I have the next slide, please? I have already summarized the first point, so related to access. Also, very important information, the existing access that you have for the current UI will be valid for the new UI. So there is no need for you to request access through the EMA account management portal to access the new user interface. If you can access the current user interface, so EVWeb, you will be able to access the new user interface. In terms of information that will be made available, we will publish the final version of the user manual, and also we will be updating the knowledge base article related to the new UI as and when there's a new additional information available. We had a question related to training. So e-learning training will be performed in the new user interface. So it is done in XComp, in the test environment, from February. So from the go-live date, we will allow e-learning participants to already perform the knowledge evaluation and their testing and training in the new user interface, XComp environment. We will be updating the step-by-step guides, which are currently published on the training webpage, and the aim is to have these finalized and updated and published by end of Q2 2026. The first virtual training that is planned to be performed in the new XEVMPD user interface is foreseen for the 11th of March. I believe that's the combined training for marketing authorization holder and sponsor users. Any questions that you have related to the new user interface should be logged as requests for information. Please note that you have to specify the service and the service offering, which should be SPOR and XEVMPD. I can see there's a typo in the presentation. My apologies about that. And any issues that you might experience with the current or new user interface should be submitted through report an issue, which is an incident form that is available in ServiceNow. You will be able to specify in that form if your inquiry or issue that you're reporting is related to the old UI, so XEVMPD EVWeb, or to the new UI. So please make sure that you correctly label it so we know to which user interface this issue is related to.
Thank you, Veronica. I think we also have some functionalities on the SPOR service. So, Deborah, over to you.
Thank you. So, in here, I will be, although I'm from OMS, but I will guide you through these service improvements, reference to all the other, some of the other domains, which includes SMS, OMS, and RMS. So what changes happened recently? And let's start with the rationale behind why this change happened. And the key here is based on this overview that you have in front of you. So to have any actions that need to be performed by the data steward, to centralize them in one single place. And this is why we've tried to create two types of services and manage them manage the activities according to the types of services. And we're talking self-service, which will be maintained using the SPOR portal, and the managed services, which are services that require action from our data stewards, and this type of service will be maintained under the service desk portal. And now I will guide you through this central circle where we're detailing which type of activities and where can you find them. So starting with the point number 1, which is at the bottom, learn and understand. This we refer to any sorts of the documentation and guidance, SOAR related. So all this can be found in the SPOR portal. Information when it comes to access and browse the data to any of these 3 domains, it can be found also, the right place, it's in the SPOR portal. Moving on into the exports and the use of the data. So all of these, we are moving towards centralizing all of them also in the SPOR portal. SMS is already there. RMS also, which was a deployment done last quarter. RMS exports are all of them already available in the SPOR portal. OMS, we're still working towards this, to have everything in the SPOR portal. We aim to conclude this activity at the end of the current quarter. Right now, OMS, the only export you can find is the all active organization, and this is available under the document section of the OMS portal. As part of the plan activities, also we are planning to bring back the RMS subscriptions, and also to develop, to expand this subscription also to the OMS dictionary. This is an activity that we're planning towards the end of the year. Now, going into point 4, where we're talking about the API. Here, the API, we wanted to put it not as a self-service or a managed service, because it's a machine-to-machine access. So here you can actually have a bunch of other services that are present in these 2 core services that I've just presented, using to this SPOR service improvements that we just did. No changes happened through the API. So using the API, you can still, as you were since the beginning, you can access and browse the data. You can have access to the exports, and you can also submit requests using the API. To this API, no changes happen. Now moving on into the managed services, and here we're talking services that happen through the service desk portal. And here we have the request data, where you can find the change request capabilities. Any changes you need to submit to OS or R, they are now to be submitted using the Service Desk portal. We also have improvements plan to these change request capabilities, because right now most of them are manual entry, and we want to reduce the errors that this manual entry is causing. And we aim to do still this year to do an integration so that you can, when you're trying to submit a request, you will be able to select the data from our database. Moving on, last but not least, our customer support and request for services. So this is there has not been any changes. It's still using the Service Desk portal. And if you have any questions, any issues to report, any requests, any specific requests, such as the management of RMS translations, these are to be done using the dedicated forms available in Service Desk. And as a temporary solution, while we're still working on the deployment of the OMS, of the open all exports in the self-service way, because we need to provide users a temporary solution. You can access these exports, but you need to create a request using Service Desk, and we will generate these exports to you. So, in a nutshell, what we wanted with this redesign is that we've created a self-service capability in SPOR portal. Some are already reintroduced with this change that we did. Others are still ongoing according to the plan. And we're also planning to include new capabilities, which is the RMS subscription that some of the users have been impatiently waiting for this. In terms of the managed service, which is provided in the Service Desk portal. So the change requests will continue, will remain in this module. Of course, with the expected improvement plan for this year. And to highlight also the RMS translations, this will have to maintain them in the managed service, because it's an activity that we need data steward support to maintain this data. And with this.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So I will just give an update of the upcoming events that we have. As you know, every quarter we plan to do a status updates. These are the dates for the upcoming events, and you can already access the event page in case you want to save the date in your calendars. Also, I've seen, and we've seen a couple of comments that there are no enough time for questions. Here you have, for the next 4 months, time for you to come and ask any question you have for SONR, for PMS, and for XEVMPD. You know we are doing a Q&A clinic of 1 hour every month for each of the services. These are the dates you can register, and you can come and ask any question. The main focus of today is to give an update. That's why we spend more time on giving updates. Then you have a lot of time to come and ask any question that you might have. Before finishing and ending this meeting, I would like also to give you a bit of the conclusions to wrap up a bit with all this information that you have received. So holistically, what we do is we focus mainly in 3 pillars. So we focus on the delivery of efficient and effective regulatory data services. We also focus on our customers, on the users, and we try to improve their satisfaction and their success. And we also try to modernize our services, so we try to improve the data and the information management. And these are the pillars that we will focus, and in the presentations before, you've seen the improvements in each of them. Just want to give you what happened in Q4. The most important one, or the one with most impact for you, is the XEVMPD UI that were updated, and we have also changed the priority on how we validate products. So we don't tend to validate all the packages that we receive, but we try to validate new products. This is the priority as explained by Veronica before. Then in SMS, OMS, and RMS, we also had some improvements and some changes, like the SSG1 recleansing, the entry EMA mapping, and also the new version for the MEDRA codes. For the improvement of the customer satisfaction, as I said before, we have the new customer satisfaction survey launched. You have the link here, you have the QR code that you can also scan, and you will access it. It's very important for us that you give us feedback, because we want to improve the webinars or all the meetings that we have with you. Then in relation to modernizing our services, the most relevant one were for OMS. So we have now the version reason that is available in the exports. And for RMS, we also have the list exports that are back in the SPOR portal. For XEVMPD, then we focused also on the UI UAT, the new UI, because we want to be ready for the go live in Q1. For the main objectives of Q1, if we focus on the delivery of efficiency and effective regulatory services, then we have XEVMPD and PMS. So as we explained, we have extended the mapping services between PMA and the NCA's data to the end of 2027. As Veronica explained, now in XEVMPD, MA holders are not able to reference the QPPV code that are associated to the virtual affiliates in their authorized medicinal products. You need to change this information, but then on the other hand, we are trying to help you, and the submission now of the MEDRA codes is allowed on the PT level. So in case you want to submit the MEDRA codes not following the LLTs but the preferred terms, that is not now allowed in XEVMPD. As we also explained, we've launched the data management framework contract, and we are going to prepare for the knowledge transfer that is going to happen this year. For the customer satisfaction, we have the SMS guidance version 3.3 that will be delivered this quarter. And regarding the modernization of our services, we will have the Informatica MDM upgrade. For OMS, as Deborah explained, we will have the exports available now in the portal. And as Veronica explained, we will have the new user interface for XEVMPD. That are going to be available for non-EMA users, which means that for the applicants, you will be able to access this new user interface. So now we have also opened the survey in Slido, so you can give feedback to us how this webinar went. If you have any feedback, any proposals, please feel free to go there and provide this information. And we will leave you with this video of the highlights of the year. Thank you very much for your time, and see you in the next webinars.